Xenophobe, are you ready for slime time? And welcome to another year of nostalgia, a chronological exploration of every NES game released in North America. I'm Mike.
I'm Sean.
Sean, you ready for another year?
Oh yeah, it's just me. Oh yeah, this is a great year, right? This is 2021. This is what makes everything better.
Everything's better now. I mean, the podcast is better. There's two less people. It's a lot less noisy.
Yeah. No, so if everything's going to be a lot simpler, hopefully we'll get those other guys back. They're still stuck in 2020, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's the holiday season. You know, not everybody could be around, but we're glad that the listeners could join us again for the chilling tale of Xenophobe. The 100% Xenomorph ripoff game. I mean, did you look at the cover art?
All the art.
Yeah, that's true. All the art.
Yeah, this is definitely 100%. I guess the nicer term we can use is an homage or homage or however you want to pronounce it to aliens/aliens. I don't know what else can we say about this game.
Yeah, I mean, even the like the idea of going to space bases or ships or mother bases and like dealing with the aliens on board is very much like straight out of Ripley Scott's Aliens. Ridley Scott. Ripley is the actress. Right. That's it. I'm doing what I can. You know, if they fused together, they would be very powerful.
Yeah, we're getting into some Metroid action here. You know, we've had that before. We've had
that even with Contra too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was a weird level or something.
So it's like the Japanese are obsessed with the movie Alien.
They love it. Like they got the face huggers in there. They got at least a couple. Like it's basically like the design in this game is if you had contacts but you didn't have them in, so you had to wear your old glasses, and you sort of saw the silhouette of a xenomorph. That's sort of what the Xenophobe is, you know?
Right. And this is not xenophobia, like that kind of, it's not that bad negative kind.
Political, yeah.
But the back of the box does put that, to be fair to the back of the box, it does put the definition as xenophobe is the fear of anything alien. So
yeah,
they're more like, you know, it's trying to be like a early space horror kind of game, right?
I guess so. Yeah, if they're trying to go for that alien thing,
except for it's not because it's so goofy.
Yeah,
like even in design, like
the design of this game. Like at first, I was kind of intrigued because I had never seen a 100% split screen game, even if you're playing by yourself. And yeah,
yeah, that is something. And for a game that on its back of the box, it boasts that it has over 1 mega power. Okay. You would think that would mean that it could handle running the game without a separate split screen.
It has over 1 mega power?
It's just one of those things that you put in red text away from it's not like written into the blurb or anything. It literally is just an out of context line that just says over 1 mega power.
Okay.
We don't judge things by powers of megas.
Yeah.
So it's a made up quote.
Okay, cool. Well, I'd like to see a game with less than 1 mega power at that point.
Yeah, I think The Last of Us Part 2 runs on at least several 100,000 mega powers.
Yeah, that's like gigapowers, you know?
Yeah, they moved up. Here's another thing for you. The whole game, no real plot given, you know? It's just kind of like aliens have infested these spaces that you go into, and then it's your job to clear them out because you're this alien exterminator, which kind of like it should give me like the Colonel Marines aliens vibes, right?
Yeah.
But instead it gives me like Ghostbuster vibes.
Well, I mean, it doesn't help that for some reason the first character that you have the ability to select is a duck. And that doesn't really give you like badass Yeah, colonial marine vibes. It's more like I don't know. Yeah. I guess like a Ghostbusters cartoon is sort of the vibe they're going for here. I don't really think that there's any difference between the characters, but there are three. So that's.
But you would want to play as the duck if you're someone like me.
I mean, I'm not going to move away from the duck.
But they're not taking themselves very seriously by having, like, in the year 2300 or wherever this takes place. I always shoot for 2300. That's far enough.
23XX.
Yeah, 23XX. You know, they're presuming that ducks would join the humans at that point, or that we just mutated one duck to be a human.
That was it. Yeah. Is it like, did we elevate the ducks to sentience, or have we explored space and found a race of sentient ducks? Like, that's always sort of like, I like it when games do that and they don't fully explain their lore to you, so you just have to figure it out yourself through playing the game.
Right, and this game isn't going to give you any handouts. You're pretty much just traveling to different infested bases, and your job is to destroy all the aliens on those bases.
Unless you don't.
Unless you don't, right?
Yeah.
That's totally fine. And you'd actually, for what it's worth, you could just play this game by not playing it. You never have to kill anything. There's a 5-minute timer in each stage, and when that expires, you just move on. But you do get like a report back at the end of each that kind of says, like, from your commander how well you did, and you get a certain amount of points based on how many aliens you killed and how well you performed. Now, we'll get into the actual gameplay for a minute, but it's hard to not, like, think of this game as just purely one of those older arcade relic games that's just like a get the high score points, same loop over and over again style game, Well,
yeah, that's what it is. There's really no depth to this game. It is it's like basically a wave shooter, but there can only be one enemy or one or two enemies on the screen at once. There's not really much going in the way of like power-ups. I mean, there are some, but we'll get there. There's nothing in the way of strategy, unless you're trying to do a pacifist run, which is surprisingly easy. It's just an arcade game ported to the NES.
Yeah, and not even ported correctly, though.
Yeah.
Because the original arcade game was a 3-player simultaneous game. And what was cool about that is that it knew your positions throughout the entirety of the bases. So you had the aliens, like, locked to positions where they were. And then it also knew where all 3 players were. So you had this thing where it was actually like, even if it was a small base or small ship or whatever, at least it was alive, in the sense of, like, aliens are contaminated in this area. I'm going to go here. You control this side. Like, I think that's interesting as a concept. It just didn't happen here.
I mean, it does do that in a way. Like, it does have a, I guess the term that you could use for it is it's like a persistent world. At least each base, which is what, like 3 or 4 rooms. But so, like, if both players are in the same room, you'll both show up on that screen. But you can also be in other rooms and sort of existing in that same world. But it doesn't really matter, because all that's happening is it's just spawning enemies into each room separately. I guess it's cool when you cross paths and then you could, like, take them on together, but I don't think that there's enough going on each screen for it to matter as much as it did in the arcade. I watched a little bit of footage from the arcade version.
Yeah, and so, like you said, the aliens just spawn even as you're in the room. Like, they'll just kind of spawn somewhere within the room. And I think that's missing the what's so cool about the idea of, like, the base being live and being where everything is, because then you're not hunting everything down. It's just kind of happening and occurring in front of you.
Yeah.
And it'd be so much cooler if, like, you had to be aware of the doors on either side, and then, like, those doors open and you're not sure if it's going to be your split screen partner or another alien. Instead, It's just like, if nothing's in the room, the game will take care of that for you and make sure something enters that room. And
that almost makes me wonder, because I didn't want to give myself as boring an experience as it would have taken to do this experiment. But I wonder if you even have to move between rooms. I know that like only the first couple enemies will drop like a score giving item in each room to boost that score up, but like I wonder if you could play this game just standing in the same screen, because it just kind of ends. It's not like there's any like end game in each of these bases. It just like stops you. So I wonder if that's like a timer that would trigger regardless of where you are, or if there is some like amount of steps you need to take. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a timer though. I think it's just straight like 5 minutes in game time.
Wow.
And then that counts as like, all right, on to the next base or ship or what have you. And what's really strange is you mentioned that there's no ending objective, right? Because the aliens just get spawned, you kind of have to just like always take them out. There's no break period where it's like, I can move to the next level earlier because I defeated all the waves or something like that. That doesn't happen. But also there's just no end to the game either. You do the same, I think it's 8 different, ships, bases, motherships, what have you. It's 8 of those, and then it just repeats. And the only thing that would like signify that you've beaten the game is maxing out the score to 999000.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun at all. I mean, I guess that could have been fine. I'm in Rampage. I was talking about like I don't really care if it's open ended. I just like to do the thing in the game. But the game here is like the stiffest gunplay, almost zero sound design, 4 enemies tops, half the screen is your action. I can't really think of, other than the want to beat a game, what would keep me playing for longer than the amount of time I did for this podcast.
And that's why it needs, for especially for a console version, right? And I know we're early into consoles making a resurgence. We really only have, at this point, the NES and the Master System at home anyway. And maybe some computer consoles if people are like into that scene. That's really all you have. So we're early in on that. But I feel like console gaming needs to offer something in the form of a beginning and end for not even like a campaign, but in the sense of like, imagine if this game actually had an ending after the 8th stage, right? And then you saw the ending or whatever, and then you could keep playing for high score. But this way, there's actually like a motivation of like, you've cleared this galaxy, and then you move on to another galaxy or something. Like it needs a reason to end, because like you said, unless you're going for points, there's no reason to keep playing, because the gameplay itself will not change at all from the first level, other than adding some new enemies, some new floors, the number of rooms in a base. And I mean, like, honestly, maybe the difficulty ramps up, but not like considerably enough to keep a player engaged. Yeah,
and it's like there's no late game gear that'd be like, oh, I can't wait for, like, right now this is kind of tedious, but I'll get that power trip once I get the BFG or something like that. Like, this game handles power-ups in such a weird way that you can find grenades lying around, and I think it's like down an A or something to throw a grenade, but like there's no counter, so it's not like you can do any resource management with that. It's just sort of like you either have them or you don't. I guess there's there's like a rapid fire pistol, but I'd never got that drop. And I guess
I got the rapid fire pistol and I liked it. I liked that rapid fire pistol because that actually, like, well, okay, so look, when you're fighting the aliens, right, which is a weird thing to say because you're barely fighting them.
Yeah.
There's this moment where you realize all you have, other than these grenades, if you stumble upon them, you just have your gun. So you shoot at the alien, and it just kind of like, depending on the type of alien it is, it either lunges at you or just shoots at you from a distance or comes closer to you. There's not really a lot of options in terms of defense for you. There is a jump, but if there's 2 aliens in a room, most likely, based on the jump that they've provided you with and the inputs that it requires, you are most likely just going to jump into the other alien enemy or what have you. Like, And that sounds bad because it's pretty much impossible to dodge. And if you do dodge, it's like it doesn't feel that good to be dodging it because now you just have to go back to shooting until it lunges back at you the other way. However, you have a ton of health in this game.
Yeah.
So it's almost like inconsequential when you get hit by an alien. It's almost like, all right, well, I'd rather get hit than take the effort to dodge and just keep shooting at him because
and be floating in midair for like a second and a half. Yeah.
Exactly. And some enemies do take a lot of bullets to die. So it's almost like a waste of time to be jumping around and dodging. It's like just take the 10 or so points that it knocks off your health because you have 1,000 health or something like that. And you do get health regeneration too through power-ups, which is a pretty frequent power-up you'll come across. So I don't really see a reason to be afraid of the aliens if they give you that much health.
There was also another little aspect to fighting in this game that was unique, I thought, but it was the only unique thing, or it was like it would have been a cool feature if the fighting in this game had any other depth to it. But it was basically like if you get lunged at, there's like a chance that you're going to get knocked over. You can still shoot from lying on your back, and you're going to be right in line with whatever put you there. But you can't move until you press the jump button to stand back up. I thought that was interesting because in some other version of this game, it could have been like an interesting risk reward if you want to just stay prone and get some shots in and just like finish off the alien, or you could get up and try and reposition to a safer area. But since there wasn't really much at stake there, like that part of this game really didn't mean anything to you. Did you notice that about like when you get knocked over?
Yeah, no, it's really cool, and it's a level of thought that they didn't put into most of the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Another thing, like what you're talking about, though, because it's weird to have something like that. It's weirder when it happens like twice, when there's two like really well thought out things in a game that just clearly didn't playtest for very long. The port specifically, but there's the critters, the critter aliens, which are the smaller like little blob guys. If they latch onto you, you can actually like there's a special command that the game registers when you are like when they latch onto you that you can throw them, like you can pick them up and like throw them away from you. And I thought that was like a neat context thing, like specific to one alien enemy that felt cool. You know, again, like if there was an actual sense of danger in this game, that would be a creepy moment where there's like a critter on you and you have to like quick, like get this thing off of me.
I think what I did was I just sort of like mashed buttons and it fell off of me. I don't remember throwing it off, but I did like that too as like, and like another, like that's sort of the face hugger.
Right.
So yeah, I liked that about the game. But yeah, it's just these small little things that would be cool if everything else was sort of cohesive in that way. But everything else just bleeps and bloops and very slow gunfire and basically just boring.
Yeah, the controls was one of those situations where I had to actually, like, I read the manual ahead of time, then I started playing the game, and then I was like, whoa, let me go back to the manual for a second. Like, is this really all I can do? You know, like, it was one of those moments where you look at it and you're like, no, there's got to be, like, some other type of like attack, or like I could use my fists in close encounters or something. Like none of that, and it was just so strange. And I remember saying to myself, like, so these are the controls, and that's never a good sign. You never want to say to yourself, so this is how they want you to play the game. Like I don't do that in modern video games ever. You know, like when was the last time in a modern video game you were like, oh, so that's how they want me to control the camera? You know, like it's always the same thing. Like it's worked out now.
Yeah, I don't think I've thought about that since like 2002 or something, when the 3D camera sort of standardized. So no, I definitely felt that way. I didn't actually read the manual. This is one of the rare games I didn't read the manual because it just seemed so fucking straightforward that like but. And I guess I didn't miss anything. You
didn't miss anything because they also don't elaborate on a story there either. You know, usually the manual is a chance for an aspiring author to write their magnum opus.
And I love it.
Not even this time.
Wow. Thank God I didn't read it.
Yeah, so nothing lost there. The aliens have pretty cool names, and I'll just list them off. Like we have the critter, the snotterpillar, the laser ball, which doesn't sound like an alien to me. That sounds like some robo thing.
Yeah.
The giant slime amoeba. That one seems just very descriptive. I don't know if that's actually the real name or the scientific name.
That's
of
the one
that
that'll
alien.
kind of like jump between the floor and the ceiling, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about now, and that is the one. Yes. And then I don't remember seeing this one. I don't think, but the Spiderion.
Oh, the Spiderion. You don't remember the Spiderion?
Is that the one that's actually the Xenomorph?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay, that's funny. You pull my leg. You pull my leg. All right, whatever. I think we've covered a lot of this game, and we're only like 20 minutes in. This is rough. Yeah, we've mentioned so much that I just kind of want to bring up a generic point, but it happens in this game, so I feel like we'll just get it out of the way. Why are aliens always green? What's up with that?
Oh, I mean, it's not really true. I mean, even the Xenomorph wasn't green in the movie.
That we could tell by our best guesses.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like shorthand now. Like, you know, aliens are green. Wizards have white hair.
That's true. Okay. All right. What's blue?
Blue.
What's like something that's always blue? Dinosaurs? Dinosaurs
What?
are, you know, like in
dinosaurs
the
are green too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Dinosaurs are green.
It's green all the way down.
Yeah, it's just it turns out it's always been green.
One thing I want to know about this game, and I guess maybe you can explain, like, the security systems are going haywire because all these bases have been overrun by alien monsters. But like, why are the little floating turrets also shooting at you? They're at once the most annoying enemy in this game because half the time they are above the height that you can jump, and the most inconsequential because they're just there. They take like 10 of your 1,000 hit points away every time they shoot you, and it sounds like a little like pea shooter. Like, why even include that? It's just a frustration element.
So that's the laser ball. And that's why I was confused. I'm like, so is that an alien?
No.
Or is that like a part of the defense systems of the ship? You're saying it's a part of the defense systems of the ships. I get that.
Yeah.
But what if it's an alien possessing the defense systems in the ship?
So
Technically,
now,
it's an alien then.
So now these aliens are, they've got psychokinetic powers.
What in this game made you not think that? They're low intelligence? Like the fact that they just like leap at you even though you have a gun?
Like a Blanca. They sort of like do a Blanca move at you. I guess what could actually happen is that at the whenever you die in this game, you're actually just your mind is being flayed, and it just you become one. That could have been interesting if after you died you could start to be the alien.
I like that. I'm on board with that. I'm also on board with the idea that aliens, regardless of the game, would know how to use guns, right? If they can like travel around the the interstellar system, and they're like intelligent beings and what have you, they would have also come to like the idea of guns or even more powerful things than guns somewhere down the line.
Well, remember, Mike, if you know your alien lore, the xenomorphs are just a biological weapon created by the space jockey race, and they're just there by happenstance. The xenomorphs don't know why they kill or how to kill; they just kill. You know,
who are the space jockeys in relation to Prometheus?
They're the Prometheus guys.
Oh, okay, so they are cool.
Yeah.
And how is a space jockey different from, like, say, a disc jockey?
I think the term just came from, like, in Alien, there's, like, they just discover a bunch of dead dudes, and one was on, like, a saddle sort of thing. So they just called him, like, a space jockey. And then, Ridley Scott had to go and explain everything in Prometheus, so... that's where we are.
So you're talking a lot about Alien. Are you putting Xenophobe in the Alien universe now?
I am just I just am finding things to say about this game. The most interesting thing about this game is what it is trying to rip off. So
That's true. That's true. And fair enough. Like, I think that on some level, right, it does succeed in ripping off the thing that it like sought out to rip off. Now, it didn't execute on it, right?
No.
But there's no like way you could convince me that fans of Alien and fans of video games didn't see this box and be like, "Oh, I'm bringing this home tonight."
Yeah, it was probably a really good marketing scheme. I mean, like, look at how many ports this game has.
True.
On the Wikipedias. I imagine that contributed to it. I don't know, firsthand, but like this had to have been a relatively popular game.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know any better, too, like, you see the exact ripoff of what a xenomorph is on the front cover of the box, and you're like, oh, this is like part of that universe, which I guess is what I was trying to get you to admit earlier.
No,
but like, people could think that.
Yeah, for sure.
Back then, especially, like if you told me that there was a game that was like, instead of Star Wars, it was Space Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you could make it look like a Darth Vader-like character and you called it Space War, there's no way that every little kid who loves Star Wars isn't asking for that game for Christmas.
For sure. And it's really weird because I thought maybe the arcade game would lean into it more. But when I was watching the footage of it, it actually looks like it's taking a lot more cues from Star Trek than Alien. Like the characters that you have those really like sleek like Starfleet uniforms on, and they got the big muscular, the big heroic chins, and I don't know, they're kind of like mixing their origins there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, because one thing we didn't talk about was the look of the game, which is kind of cartoony. Like, you would expect something a little more like gritty and realistic and trying to be like, ooh, these aliens are scary. Instead, the aliens look kind of, we said Ghostbusters earlier, but they kind of look like they could be friendly Ghostbuster ghosts if they weren't aliens themselves, Like, if we didn't have the context, they might as well just be green Ghostbuster ghosts, like in the first movie.
For sure.
So that's like another weird thing. But again, I can't imagine that marketing didn't think about that, being like, this is great. It's Alien and it's Ghostbusters and it's the 1980s. Like, we can't lose.
Guys, it's the current decade. This is a home run.
I mean, there was definitely a bull market going on in the 80s. So, like, everybody was happy.
You're right.
Anyway.
No. Let's keep talking about the...
No. Sequels and spinoffs.
Okay.
Sequels and spinoffs, because as you can imagine, there were none. The game died at the arcade.
That is a surprise to me as well.
And here's the funny thing, though. There were many ports, as you mentioned, so it is kind of surprising that they wouldn't get another sequel or something. But out of all of the ports that are available, it's the Atari Lynx version that had me the most interested. Remember that from, I think we were talking about that last episode.
Yeah.
Or, no, sorry, the Skate or Die episode.
Yeah.
With Atari and EA and Epix all like having a fight with each other, and then that ultimately made the Atari Lynx. Turns out the Atari Lynx, very interesting console. It just takes like 9 AA batteries to get the thing to run. But once you have all that, the Atari Lynx can somehow like hook up between 4 players to allow everybody to play.
Links.
Yeah, through the link. They links up and they play Xenophobe, and you have to turn the handheld console, which is relatively big. Think of like the size of a Switch, right?
Yeah.
You have to turn it upright, and you play it
vertically.
like the vertically, but the buttons are still like designed as if you were holding it like a controller, but now they're up and down.
Wow.
So you have to hold it like you're holding a phone.
That sounds
terrible. But with 2 hands.
Yeah. But it's
imagine
like
yourself holding a phone.
So you are imagine holding a phone. So you're saying that all 3 players, is it the 3-player version or 2-player version?
I think it's 3 players.
So all of their stuff is showing up on each Lynx.
Yes.
But only one player can use the Lynx as a controller.
No. Everybody uses the links as a controller.
The
it's
same
just
links.
No. Everybody needs their own links and their own copy of Xenophobe.
Okay. All right. It just sounds sort of poorly thought out, but, I guess that was the links.
And on top of that, I know you said 3 players, but I was not mistaken. It is 4 players.
Oh, 4.
In the links version.
So it has even more capability than the arcade version.
Technically speaking, yes. And it came out in like 1990. So not even that much to extra
this is
time.
Some next-gen Xenophobe action.
It just sounds like a really cool idea. And I think we should all buy our copy of Xenophobe on the Atari Lynx and an Atari Lynx. And we should get together once this whole pandemic thing ends. Yeah. And we just play the real version of Xenophobe. Because that's my sequels and spin-off section, is just to let people know, if you were disappointed by the NES version, don't go look for the arcade version. Go look for the Atari Lynx version. It sounds really cool and unique.
We have to pump those numbers up. We one of our essential pricing list, the Xenophobe on the Lynx. We need to pump that price up.
Yeah, it got a 5 out of 5 on Atari.io.
Wow.
It's just a random website that I just looked up, but say no more than that. All right, we're done here, right?
I guess so.
No, we have to vote. It's still you still have to vote for these games. So that was a test. Looks like it's going to be a one-man show going forward because you've failed the test.
No.
Fear not. We're gonna still do a little thing I like to call the essential games list. Sean?
Yes?
You can vote however you like.
Okay.
But I would like to hear something nice as well.
About Xenophobe, not just about other things?
Yeah, about Xenophobe.
Okay. I will say that Xenophobe definitely has some unique qualities to it. I think that if their core gameplay was just a smidge better, like, this game, it's 1988. Like, we're not going to give passes to half-assed combat or anything like that anymore. If that was any better, this whole split screen thing would have been like 10 out of 10, like best game. But no, the actual core gameplay that you're doing is boring and thoughtless. So all that cool tech that went into being able to handle people on different screens at the same time and all that, like, that goes out the window. So this is not an essential game.
Thank you. And I do appreciate you saying something nice about it. Because here's the bottom line, guys. I mean, look, it's 2021 now. I'm saying it. 7 out of 10 NES games going forward are going to be bad. They're going to be things that we don't like. There's only a 3 out of 10 chance that we'll get a game that we'll actually have something that we like. The current stats, as I break it down, are 70% bad shit, 17% you should play it if you like NES games, and only 12% essential games. Now, that you might do the math on that and say, Mike, that's 101% or whatever, but I was rounding up or down on the certain percentages to give clean numbers. So don't fight me. I am keeping it all accurate.
I'm gonna fight him.
And we're not holding this information hostage either. We'll release it in 2035 when the show is over. Now, that said, I do have to give a vote on this particular game. And we complained for a long time about this game, but we didn't even get to like really talk about the game in a nuanced way because it wasn't worth your time. I could have explained that you have to press the down and A button
to crouch,
and then the down and A button again when crouched to throw grenades.
Yeah.
Why you can't just press the down button? I don't know. But that alone is enough to put this.
That's a jank folder. That's like peak jank folder right there.
Exactly. That's what puts this. That's what doesn't even make this considered an essential game for me. Is something where like you only have 4 controls anyway, and then you make it like ridiculous over one move like that. Like, keep in mind, you want to crouch in certain areas. It's not like it's like the crouch is not something used that often. You crouch.
You crouch
in this game.
You're a crouching character.
You crouch. I'm a grouch, and this game is not on the essential games list.
You could have just said you crouch, I'm a grouch, and this game is kind of a slouch.
Ouch. All right, well, I'm glad that we're all still in good spirits. As Sean said, 2021 is when everything ends. Everything. Including life on Earth.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't end, there's plenty more nostalgia to come. And I know what you guys are thinking. Mike, this was episode 153. You promised a 153rd episode spectacular.
No. Those specials don't count.
They don't. They don't count. And they don't count here either, though, Sean. This really is just this would technically be like the 156th episode by those standards.
Oh. So,
but we're just not doing it, is what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, screw whatever past Mike told you and stay with present Mike, because he's going to promise something that's real, okay?
I can't wait to meet future Mike.
Future Mike is reckless, and he is also undecided. He may or may not show up. But one thing I can promise is that the very next game on Nostalgia, that is next Friday, is the final game of 1988, The Legend of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Finally, we get to find out what this Link guy is doing. The whole first game was about Zelda, so finally, we get to see who this Link guy is.
Is that, like, Zelda's dad?
I heard he's in Smash.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, no, it's going to be a great episode, and that's why we didn't blow this one out of the water. We didn't want to make a game like this the 153rd episode spectacular, so Zelda 2 will just be the 154th episode spectacular. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then that's fine, but you're not listening to every episode, and I caught you. After Zelda 2, we have the Best of 1988, a classic episode where we will rework the Essential Games list. Think you heard it all? Think you heard everything there is to know about 1988 by listening to every episode? You're wrong, because we're going to change history in the Best of 88 episode.
Vote Dukakis.
There you go. And then it doesn't stop from there. 1989 comes in, and we got games like Bomberman, Sesame Street 1, 2, 3, WWF WrestleMania, Friday the 13th, and our first real RPG, Ultima 3.
Oh, shit.
So anything can happen. Anything can happen. All we ask is that you keep listening every single Friday. Sean, where can they find us?
You could find us on the internet.
The internet, that's Twitter specifically, at Nestalgiacast, Nestalgia cast, like a cast that you wear, or a podcast. And there we post memes. We don't even care. I know, like, NES memes, like, they're old, but they're new, and they're hot, and they're funny. Okay? So be there for the laughs.
Find us on Google. Like, if you
find us on Google.
Yeah, like,
just type it in.
Like, Nostalgia Podcast. We'll be there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yahoo. Bing.
If you look up "Is NES Baseball Haunted," I think it shows up again. I think that's pretty spooky.
We gotta be the first result, you know?
Well, the website's down, John.
I mean, how often do they check those things, though?
Right, maybe they can go to, like, the Wayback Machine.
Can you, just find the cached version of our website, read that article.
That's all we ask for. This has been a very long post thing, but we're just trying to, we get paid by the minute here on YouTube. So we're just doing what we can. Not true. But we are going to sign off now. Please join us next week for a good game. Or not. I don't know if it's good, actually. I'm going to tell you next week. All right. I'm Michael Zig. You can find me at Esposito Film on Twitter. Or if you just spot me in the street, be like, you're Michael Esposito from Nostalgiacast. But that's something you're allowed to do.